Pedal to the Metal podcast with your hosts, the Eroica and Heil68. Strap one on, boys.
All right, well, welcome everybody to a 10-year anniversary edition of Pedal to the Metal. The old podcast from the old days of System Wars is back for one more show. So, I want to start by introducing the co-host of Pedal to Metal, the man, the myth, the legend. Hashtag legendary Heil68 is back, everybody. What's up, Heil?
Everyone's glad to see me. I imagine Pedro was too. I'm guessing so. So it's been fun. I can't believe it's been that long. His time flies. So not much has changed besides the user base of System Wars. So
yeah, we're going to get into that, actually. It's going to be part of the agenda today. We're going professional. We're going to have an agenda today. And part of the conversation is definitely going to circle around the current state of the union in System Wars. So, but before we get to that, we've got our other founding co-host of Pedal to the Metal here today, Mr. Animal Mother, ladies and gentlemen. Animal.
I'm 10 pounds fatter and I have 3 inches longer of hair this time.
You look good, man. You look like you're in your early 20s.
You know what's funny? As a therapist, everyone says, like, you know, the older people, they say to you, oh, how old are you? Like fucking 27? And I'm like in my 50s and you're telling me what to do? And I'm like, sir, I am like close to 40 or close to your age. That's that New York water, man. Like the fountain of youth.
Yeah. That is it's the East River.
oh, God.
Yeah. East River Reservoir.
Nice. And for all of you out in System Wars land who still check in with us, we have a very special guest today, coming to us from the front page of System Wars, ladies and gentlemen. We're here today with Pedro. Pedro, what's up?
As usual, troll people online, and yeah, that's it.
Nice.
I have to
owning cows every day. That's all we do here.
I have to ask. I heard today that he might be the last System Warrior.
Pedro's an OG. He's a good one. Now, Pedro, I am interested. I want to open actually everything today, because since you're our special guest with a conversation with you, and I look at your post count, and God, you've got a lot of posts, but I don't feel like you've spent all your time in GameSpot on System Wars. Is that true?
No, correct. I was in what was it called? A general game discussion before. And
so how were you there from like the early days, like before the system or before the site revisions and all that?
Yeah, I was there where this new format was like, oh my God, this is mind blowing. There's a new forums. This shit is amazing. Yeah, because before you would make a post and it takes about 5, 10, 15 minutes for it to post on the site. So conversations were really like days long it would take for things to go back and forth.
Yeah. That's so it's funny that he just brought up, and I saw Animal smile a little bit, that everybody was excited when the site revision happened, when System Wars was like, oh my God, a bomb dropped, and that's when we lost like a huge chunk of our users when the site changed over. So that's kind of interesting.
Nobody was happy about that. We were on the train eating chicken and rice. And you're like, man, this is gonna fuck up the website forever. Like, oh, it's gonna. And
yes, dude, you're right. We were eating chicken and rice, and absolutely saying they fucked up the site. But here's the thing: is that Pedro's saying to him it wasn't like that. But we had so many like little factions and like little bits of expression in people's signatures and like lists, and people's walls were active. Like GameSpot before the revision was like more personal, and then it became, to Pedro's point, more sleek, easier to use, a little bit quicker, but it kind of trimmed like all the things I think that made the System Wars community unique. So I don't know, Heil, what do you think? Yeah,
how did that happen?
And that's something that most people don't realize, that I came to System Wars because the general discussion died.
Gotcha.
There was no one there, and I didn't really like the System Wars because it was just a lot of nonsense that was really too much for me. And then I realized, okay, and I tried to initially interact, and it like so much stupidity. So the only way to deal with it is to just be on that same level of stupidity, and that's exactly what I did. However, it worked a little too well in some cases where some people are losing their minds with the level of stupidity you can play around with. So
Those are facts. Those are facts you're talking about, Pedro.
Well
So
said. Well said, Pedro. I hear Kyle laughing in the background because he knows that Pedro just shot an arrow to the center of the bullseye.
when did that change happen? Did I miss that or what? When did that happen?
What
are you
change?
talking about? You're talking about when you guys were having chicken and rice. What year was that?
Oh God, that was like I'm going to say 2014 because 2013 is when we started the podcast, and it was about
I think it was
6 months in or a year. Because remember, we were having Cynthia on the show. We were having the old community manager would be on the show every once in a while, and she would kind of talk about the site revision. I remember I became a mod when they were doing the revision too. So it was sometime into the whole like podcast that the whole hubbubaloo about all that blew up and everyone was getting
is that when they
mad.
got rid of like the what was that group we were in, John? With Wazdy and Champ. What was that?
Goofu.
And then those groups went away, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we trimmed all that. Yep. So now we're left with basically being able to have like pictures in our signatures, but I mean, they've got like the game stacks and they've got your wall and stuff like that. But I think, like I said earlier, like a lot of the unique things that distinguished like people's identities on GameStop were lost in that revision, and it pissed a lot of people off. But hey, here we are. Pedro's here. He's probably 100,000 posts deep. I'm still here. Kyle's still here. John's not here.
I just looked. I'm next year will be 20 years.
Yeah,
that I've been on GameSpot.
So that's a good segue though into what do we think the future is of System Wars, and this is important because I'm going to post this on System Wars main page. This is going to be pedal to the metal back for one more show, and we're going to talk about a sensitive topic, but like, what is the realistic future for System Wars? I count between 10 and 20 users on the board.
I have been let me get on my thoughts. I have spent a fair enough of time on System Wars. I have spent a fair enough amount of time being a therapist. It's gonna, if there are 20 people, right? What's gonna happen? 20 becomes 18, 18 becomes 16, 16 becomes 10, and then it's just like, it's just a small group of people just kind of keeping it alive. Like, and this is not to toot my own horn, because this is something I was talking to about with one of our coveted friends, Willie105, or Willie Tunes, is that even my YouTube channel had 10,000 plus subscribers. Like, people grow up, people get jobs, people have families, people have shit to do, like, you can't just sit and argue with Phantasy Star 94 about how he didn't fucking play Grand Theft Auto 5, like, and how, oh yeah, Grand Theft Auto 5 sucks, I've played the intro mission.
So what you're saying though, John, is that you're saying that it's a death rattle no matter what.
It's death rattle.
Well, that's fine. I mean, we can all see that, but I guess what I'm saying is, like, what could be a catalyst to potentially turn it around? Is the whole act of going to a forum just dead? Do people want to be in their own tribes and not want to intermingle with people with differing opinions, or be in an open forum where people may challenge their belief in their outlook on whatever that hobby or topic is, and so people don't want to be on general forums? Or is it just that there's so many options out there that, like, something like a GameSpot forum, System Wars forum, is just archaic?
System Wars is fucking stupid. We're not like 12
It's
anymore.
not.
Sorry, I broke your heart, guys. System Wars is stupid, and B, that's what we have Discord for now. People want to stay within their tribe, as I look like a thumb.
What do you think, Pedro? Do you think that we can turn the ship from 10 users to start making gains on this thing, or is System Wars inevitably swirling the bowl?
It's swirling the bowl, mainly because it's old-fashioned. If you look at our ages right now, they're all old farts, you can say, that is actively engaging in older tech and older ways of communication. And that's the only people who would be interested. I don't see any young person going on to this forum. That would be bizarre if it does happen. Because you have so many different avenues. Like, for instance, I didn't start using Discord until I was forced to with my students. That's the only way they communicate. Discord, everything. Not even text, Discord. So yeah, it would eventually fade away. How quickly? I don't know.
I judging by Heil's late night text messaging to me, he thinks that it's gonna. I mean, he'll get me at 3 a.m. with tears on the phone saying that it's over and this ship is sinking. So, Heil, what do you think, buddy?
I mean, I got bored with it. I mean, I took like, I don't know, 2 or 3 years off. I had one of the top posts, and then I was like 2 years, just didn't stop caring. Like John said, just got shit to do and other things going on, so lost interest. I even actually kind of lost interest in video games just because we're playing the same things seemingly over and over. So I think I almost took like a year off of this playing games. I didn't buy the PS5 at launch. I waited. I know.
No, come
on. I waited over a year for that, and I just bought an Xbox S, so I waited 3 years for that. So not I'm still like playing, but not rabid, I guess, like what I used to be.
So Heil, getting back onto the PS5, and we all know that you are the one of the king cows, the most established, Sony suit out there, for lack of a better way to say it. What are you 100% satisfied with the PlayStation 5? I'm sorry, wait, hold on. Are you 100% satisfied with the BS Jive?
I wait.
Not.
Oh, sorry.
I want to hear this. He's not. Go ahead.
That's why I waited a year. I mean, the third-party stuff is fun to play, which exclusives were, I don't know. I love Naughty Dog. They were like the saviors of, I thought, the PS4, because I love those type of games, which I know those are the movie games, which everyone says, which I respect, but I still love like the Tomb Raiders and the other games kind of like that, because that's just the gaming style I enjoy. So, but no, I didn't buy the PS5 at launch. So it's nice having the back catalog of PS4 games that I missed, and then of course the PS5 games, which is my game of the year, which we're going to discuss.
Yeah, we are going to get to that.
That waited. So no, I'm not even that crazy about Xbox really either. There's just nothing that really grabs me. Like I said, my best game I've played since I started back up would probably be Stray. Just because of how it captivated me as far as something new, fresh, and it is probably a 10th or 100th of a budget of today's AAA games, I'm guessing.
Wow, go figure. A game that didn't make you pull a trigger or swing a sword. It felt fresh and it felt unique. That's an interesting take you got there, Heil. I don't know, man. Hey, listen. I'm a Steam Deck guy, and I'm happy at this point. I'm a crusader for open accessibility for all gamers. I'm done with the archaic, old, we'll say it for lack of a better way to say it, the old Japanese business model of judging this entire hobby based on how many consoles we sell and how many games we lock out from other gamers. I appreciate the Microsoft PC approach, and Microsoft, let's not beat around the bush. Microsoft shoots itself in the foot by not protecting its games on its own console, because it doesn't want to play that old business style where consoles are the thing that determine what the worth of the console or the experience in that generation is. So I kind of look at like what Microsoft is doing with Game Pass and making games available day one on as many things as they can as the thing that I want out of games. I just don't think that they have the proven library of franchises, and they're not executing on games at this point enough where people are willing to not play by the old rules and just go get it. People are buying a PlayStation 5, and I swear to God, there's not even that much to play on it right now, in my opinion. And
you're talking first party or possibly third party, but as a person that just buys one, they have literally they have thousands of games.
Sure. You're right.
I have over 700. It's
right.
Let me interrupt.
Go ahead.
Shut up. Yeah. Here's the thing,
John.
And I love you too. And you made a really great point with the Steam Deck, even though I rolled my eyes. And if I hear you talk about that, I call you, I'm like, I passed my licensing exam. You're like, dude, how great is the Steam Deck? Oh, the Steam Deck.
So true. It's so true. I can't get it out.
And even your wife, like, we're at a wedding that you officiated, and she's like, oh, do you have a Steam Deck, John? She goes, Jeff's got a Steam Deck. Oh, and I'm like, Jesus Christ.
I love it.
It's another story for another day, but
Yeah.
like it's like, this is gonna sound so fucking lame. It's like Michael Pachter said like 20 years ago. Like it's not about just it's a console where you can play all the games that you want, right? Like that's really what these machines are now. It's just like, do you have accessibility to X game on X system, and do you want to play it? And that's really like it. I think that you're still upset because you haven't played Death Stranding, but that's just
Someday, when it gets down to the appropriate price of $9.99, I'll jump in.
So before Pedro, so for you, Jeff. So like if you had your vision, so what would differentiate Sony and Microsoft? Is it going to be between buying a Dell computer and a Packard Bell computer?
Yeah, I mean, like I think that the money in the future and the less amount of headache and more development dollars that can go into making great games is if we shed the whole proprietary hardware bit and we just settle on the idea that there's like, what, this is pie in the sky. Obviously, I'm talking out of my ass, but like if you could just unify the hardware and allow these companies to still publish all their games on their storefronts, I would just like my Roku box. I've got a Netflix app, I've got a YouTube app, I got a YouTube TV app. If I want to play Sony games, I'll click on the Sony app and I'll buy Sony games. If I want to play Microsoft, maybe I want to do Game Pass. Maybe I want to be part of the Nintendo ecosystem. Let me give you money, but I'm not going to play the game where I'm forced to buy a $500 console, which, by the way, the prices of the consoles have gone up since the start of the generation, not down. So I look at that and I go, this is like a lose. Not to mention, Heil, to your point, the reason why you took 2 years off from gaming is because games are not as fun anymore because you played them. They've been the same games for three generations.
You haven't played Death Stranding. That's why you just
okay. All right. Well, fine. You're right. I'm being an asshole. Elden Ring. No, you're right. For every Elden Ring, there's like 200 games you've played before, right? And even Elden Ring, people could say, oh, I've played that style game before. So diminishing returns is real. I just think that it's time, as a mid 40-year-old guy who still loves the hobby, I'm just not willing to jump through the hoops like I did when I was in my teens and my 20s to consume everything. I just want one machine that allows me to play. Don't lock me out of God of War because I want to play your game, man.
They didn't,
you know what I mean?
But they didn't lock you out of God of War.
Yeah, they're going to make me buy a $500 console to play it.
No, they're not.
Yeah, so you have to wait to a year or two.
Well, you got to wait for them to decide. I'm waiting for Ghost of Tsushima. I'd like to play that on my Steam Deck. I bet it would run great.
Got to do the same thing with every other publisher and developer.
Pedro, what do you think? I feel like around the forum, you are a guy that kind of, based on your posting, falls similarly in line with my thoughts on that. But how do you differ?
Well, it's an interesting thing. I'm not a big fan of exclusive. Never been a big fan of it. And I always find it's this sort of corporate. The shilling for exclusive is so confusing as a consumer. I don't, to be honest, I don't give a shit about sales and whomever. No, it's only going to benefit the company. It doesn't benefit me. I want to just put on one machine, as you say, and just play games. That's what most people are like. That's why with some people who are not into games, they ask what machine to get. Fortunately, nowadays, you can easily recommend any of them and they'll be generally fine to a large extent, which is a good thing. But there's a downside to how would I word this? Exclusive allow for less options, and that is sometimes a good thing, but as you stated with the different services, that could help alleviate that. So to elaborate on that idea, when you get a Nintendo system, you are exposed to a limited selection of game. If you go to PlayStation, repeat, and then if you go to Xbox, same thing, so that you're not inundated with the amount of options. If you go to mobile, it has you will be mind blown how many games they have there. I think the amount they have is about 283,000 games. That's more than all of consoles and PC combined. And trying to even see what game is good in that type of environment is really problematic. But if you have things like, say, a Game Pass, then Game Pass could highlight games of interest, and that could help consumers be exposed to certain things. If you have like PS Plus, similar thing. These small little, how we say, curated libraries help consumers decide what to play. But the hardware shouldn't be the means in which they achieve that. I don't know if that's making sense.
But let me stop you right there, Pedro and Jeff and Heil. Is that the problem is that I get what you guys are saying and I understand it, right? You want to just play games, but at the same
we've outgrown the need for
wait. It's going to be logical.
Okay.
Is think about it. And I think about it in the way of supermarkets, right? Like, do you have Whole Foods up there?
Yeah.
Okay. What's your standard supermarket? King's, what is it? King's or Stop and Shop or whatever?
Stop and Shop.
Let's compare Stop and Shop and Whole Foods, right?
Yeah.
If Stop and Shop and Whole Foods had the same foods, right? They had all the same brands across the board, local, national, whatever. It wouldn't matter where you shop because they'd be under one company umbrella. And that's the problem, and that's where competition stops. And that's where you
had to stop us. I might have to stop you.
Oh,
I love it.
Because you're taking a really contrived perspective, and I would try to explain what I mean by that. Is that in the scenario that we propose, we have Game Pass as a service, so you have games under Microsoft, Nintendo. Each one of those are different companies that would be competing for your money.
Yes.
You go to the store with your car. Imagine you have a scenario which would be more accurate to console gaming. You have a car specifically for each store. That is ridiculous. That's the scenario with console gaming. You need a specific car in order to get to the store.
Interesting.
But we just use our car because the car would take us to any store we want to go to, and we buy from any store.
Correct. And competition. Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Competition still exists. People have to stop thinking that competition stop existing if you have one platform, PC games, all one platform, and the games are competing with each other. Isn't that a correct statement?
Wait, can you rephrase that?
PC gaming is one platform.
Yes.
And you have games competing with each other on that platform.
Yes.
Wouldn't that be correct?
Yes.
Because the resources for the consumer is limited. So it doesn't matter where the game is, whether it's on a PlayStation, blah, blah, blah. The consumers still have a limited budget to which to spend their game.
But then we get into really nuanced territory, right? Like if you go PC's one platform, but then you get into the hardware, and then it's just
but it's still one platform.
No, but that's the thing. They're making games for thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of different configurations of computers. Where, Jeff, you might be able to play Horizon Forbidden West on your Steam Deck when it comes out. But I can't play it on my PC because I have outdated hardware, or it doesn't run as well on Intel as it does on AMD. Now, we can play.
That's not a fair or accurate statement.
That is an accurate statement, though, because that's what developers have actually said in the past.
No, well,
that is what developers have said in the past.
Yeah, but
have you seen? Wait. Have you seen PC gaming this year? Hold on.
Yeah, I know. Jedi Outcast and Last of Us, it's all crap.
It all was shit. Nobody could play a single even Forspoken. As much as I like that game, I know it's not everyone's cup of. That's
oh my god. That's why John's not. Yeah, you pick something different.
No, that's a later take. But every PC game that came out this year, hold on, let me look it up.
Okay, you look it up.
In 2023, PC gaming. Yeah, here.
Why he's doing that? But wouldn't that? So why would a game developer need either Sony or Microsoft? And why wouldn't just Naughty Dog say we don't need Sony? Or why would 343 say why do we need Microsoft? We're gonna cut you out and go straight to PC. Be like they're gonna be like. I don't know, like can't think of a PC exclusive right now, but like Total War, where did that? Yeah. We're just gonna be like Total War,
right?
Well, there has to be some money exchanged in hands somewhere. I don't know.
So I think one of the things that needs to be at least put in perspective, exclusives and all this other good stuff is beneficial to Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony because they want people to purchase on their platform. Buying on their platform gives them more money. That's really what it boils down to. The exclusives is just a means to entice people, but reality is most of their money comes from third-party sales. Just like Steam, 30%, or Epic, 12%, and blah blah blah. That's having that kind of more people on your store is really what it boils down to. Whether it's in a physical copy or digital, it'll, how to get as much revenue flowing through your market or your storefront.
Sorry, I have to go through like hundreds of pictures of Gordon Ramsay.
Oh boy.
But it also breeds, I feel personally like it breeds like innovation to an extent, right? Like in my field, like that's the thing. The more you study one thing or the more you put your effort towards one thing, and this is like completely different, but like it makes people different counselors and it makes people not like some counselors. And now I'm scrolling through the submarine fiasco, Jeff, where you were
Oh, you got
worse.
sidetracked.
No, but yeah,
I'm
like,
easy.
every PC game was. Oh wait, no. Oh no. Yeah, De Novo basically broke, like Dead Space, Callisto Protocol was this year, wasn't it? Or am I crazy?
Yeah, no, like late last
year. Like Callisto Protocol was broken. Forspoken was broken. The Last of Us was broken. Jedi Soul Survivor or whatever the hell it was called was broken. Like every PC game was broken this year because of like all those different configurations and De Novo and
like Callisto Protocol. What is the other one?
The new Jedi Survivor game. I can't believe I got that right.
The Last of Us.
The Last of Us was highly broken.
So here's one thing to consider. This will be conspiracy-ish, so prepare yourself. Like when you're developing any game for any platform, it doesn't really matter if it's PC or Xbox or Nintendo. If you prioritize one system, the other systems are going to suffer. You should actually have dedicated teams for the porting of it because some things just don't translate as well as it should. Now, if you look at, I could pick Cyberpunk, which was a PC game, and it got a lot of positive reviews because the reviews were done on PC because that's what their primary platform is. When you look at the games that you mentioned, the primary platform is PS5 for all of the games you mentioned, which means that anytime the reviewer is getting a review copy that is for like whatever the review copy is the system that they made the game for. And then you will see the consequence of that is other platforms would suffer if they don't do a good job. I mean, people might hate Ubisoft, but Ubisoft tend to do a pretty good job with regards to their multi-platform support. Despite how you may feel personally about their games, they're pretty good with their development process. So that's something to consider. I wouldn't say PC is to blame. It's really how you manage your resources and which is priority. If you're going to make more sales on PlayStation 5, you would put more resources on that.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I guess what I'm ultimately saying is that like on some level, if there is a hair of exclusivity, is it pushes us to try new things.
Right.
That's all I'm trying to say.
Well, my pie in the sky vision of what could be a home console gaming future, if we are tied to these boxes and we're not ready for streaming as the latency isn't there and we're still years away, what I'm suggesting is something like a Roku box for games that allows me to tie myself into the infrastructure where the hardware itself is unified. It's unified hardware. Well, no, I mean, not really. Like just something that has an app that allows me to jump into those individual storefronts, that allows me to download games, build my own catalog. Just to Pedro's point, Steam, Epic Games Store, all the different publishers that have their own PC game stores is no different than what I'm suggesting right now. And we allow the PC space to do it, and nobody bats an eyelash. I mean, people complain, right? Like, oh, Alan Wake 2 is locked out right now from Steam, and if you're a PC gamer, you have to get. But big deal. That's the consequence of if Sony has God of War 3 and that's the must-have game. Well, then I've got to download that storefront, which is what Sony wants me to do. Doesn't that competition still remain?
Yes, objectively.
Yes.
Now it's just
Sony and Microsoft get a cut of that, though.
Well, storefront is what it's all about at the end. Consoles are just a hardware lock storefront. That's what it really is.
Yes. Now you guys know why I had Pedro on tonight. This was the sting. This was the sting operation.
Is it to convince you to play Death Stranding?
I'm gonna play Death Stranding. Actually, I saw a clip of it the other day, and someone was calling it like weird as hell, and I was like, I kind of want weird as hell. So I'm warming up to it. I think we can all agree that things are changing. I think that the way that we game is being challenged. I know a lot of the traditional, especially on System Wars, a lot of the traditionalists hate Game Pass for what it represents. They want things to remain the same, the old Japanese business model to stay the same. They don't want things to change. They want games to be physical media for forever and ever and ever. And I just, there was maybe a point in my life where I would have felt that way, but at this point, like I don't, first of all, I don't want closet full of shit. I don't need cases and boxed around. I know my gaming habits, and I'm not going to go back and play old games that I've already beat. I will go back and play old games that I have not beat, which is pretty much how I game right now anyways. But like, I don't see the need to be holding on so tight to physical media and these proprietary boxes. I think it's time for gaming to move on.
That's like a 10-year-old discussion when Xbox One was coming out. I think we
What's that?
The whole physical media, do you own your shit, blah blah.
Yeah,
blah,
but a lot of people get hot when they find, you know, internal leaks from Microsoft saying that the next Microsoft console is not going to have a disk drive in it. People start getting like, you know, the boogeyman.
But 83% of the market is purchasing digital. I mean, the numbers that
are there.
Show me whatever his name is posted that information.
Who did?
What is his name?
Mimi, the Nintendo.
Masomi 713. I don't know if it's Masomi is how it's pronounced, but yeah, where 83% is digital and 17% is physical. That's irreversible.
You know how many disc games I own for my PS5?
I am so sorry.
Sorry for what?
That you own all those disc games.
No, I said, do you know how many disc games I own for my PS5?
Disc games for PS5. Oh well, what?
3.
One?
3. Yeah, 3.
Yeah.
In the 3 years it's been out. Dead Space, Forspoken, and I forget the third one.
Wow. Okay.
Metro.
Wow.
Oh yeah, there's one more in there somewhere.
Huh. Yeah, I'm completely out of the physical. The only ones I buy are the Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, and Breath of the Wild, and that's only because I know my son and I are going to be playing it at the exact same time and want to share it. That's it.
Do you buy them, Jeff?
Do I buy the game?
Do you buy all your games, Jeff?
Do I buy all my games?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say 98% of them.
Ah, interesting. So what about the other 2%? Where did those games come from? I don't know. I'm not.
A birdie drops them off.
A birdie drops them all.
What happened to John? I don't hear him anymore. John, we don't hear you anymore.
You muted.
What'd you do? You hit mute.
You're doing his mind.
Wow. I can't believe it. John, I've never seen him so quiet before.
It's like you're walking down the stairs.
I love it. Oh my God. He's never been so quiet, ever. I don't know what you're saying. What happened, dude? You got to get your sound back. Yeah, I don't know.
It's a damn PC. So if
that must be it.
On Sony, it'd be all right. But guess what?
Yeah. Dude, we literally don't hear you. We don't know what you're saying at all.
Do you think in your pie in the sky Nintendo would ever give their stuff to PC then? Or are we just gonna let them have the console to themselves?
I think they will eventually have to concede, whether they like it or not. They'll have.
That's a possibility, and I tell you what, Pedro. Building off that, the concept of game costs and development costs being astronomical, I feel like a lot of these companies, Sony specifically, is not going to be able to keep pace pumping out the games of the same quality and excitement and wow factor. I mean, we just saw the whole... No, John, I can't hear you. We just saw the internal leak from Insomniac Games where, like, they just... What was it? Before they released on PC, they lost like $8 million on the development of that game.
I think.
Yeah. So, John, we were just...
I heard what you guys were saying. I'm not fucking deaf.
Oh, you did? Well, okay. Well, maybe the listeners at home might not, but yeah. Anyways, we were just talking about, you know, the possibility of these manufacturers, Nintendo, Sony. I won't include Microsoft because Microsoft already does day one with all their games, but the increased need to release their content on PC day one to make up and recoup expenses for ever-increasing, rising development costs. And so what do you think the possibility is that we see Nintendo games someday on PC?
So never, but Sony needs to do that day and date. They need to just like fucking release those games at the same time on PC. Like it's not about the console sales anymore, because if you want the next God of War, you're gonna buy your PS5 for God of War. Like fucking, what is it the fishermen say? Cast a wide net.
Give a man a fish he eats for a day.
No,
Teach a man
not-
to fish. Oh,
No,
sorry.
No, jeez Louise. No, like cast a wide net, pull in an audience. Maybe you interest somebody in picking up a PS5 down the line and saying like, oh, like I want a PS5 because this indie developer is making this game and I really want it, and it's only going to be on the PS5 because that's all they can afford.
Well, I'll
So
tell
the
you
people-
this. Go ahead, Haya.
No, I said the only thing is some. I still feel people don't want to mess with the PC. They no matter how easy they are to make, which I've made, a few. They just like the convenience of console gaming, which they can still hook their PC up to, their TV, use a controller, all the convenient stuff, but they just prefer buying a console. They're never
PC's like, oh, sorry, go on.
No, that's right. I still think they'll convert. That's just my opinion.
I think PC's like had its renaissance. It's like console gaming. PCs are awesome. Look at PC gaming and how incredible it is. Oh, PCs are cool. Get this Chromebook. Use NVIDIA. Use GeForce Play. Like the other day, I was watching an ad on something, and it was like, oh, like, what do you think you're playing Cyberpunk on? Or here, like, they would... What? No, well, yeah, you know the ad I'm talking about, right? And everyone's like, oh, 4090, holy shit. And they're like, you're streaming it from GeForce Now on a Chromebook. And they're like, holy shit, oh my God.
They got to go further with that technology, though, because I don't know. I don't see that technology being something that people are going to be heavily reliant on with their home Wi-Fi's and their uploads and download speeds. Like, I feel like, I don't know.
Listen, this will be the last System Wars podcast, but who was that fucking guy who, like, I have to watch what I'm going to say.
Yeah, be careful.
Who is that guy who was like, on live is the future? And then the company
Rick Usaki.
Company went bankrupt like 6 months later.
Yeah, a lot of the old guard remembers Rick Usaki. He was shilling hard for OnLive. Yeah, but here's the thing though,
he's right, but that's
what I'm gonna say. Like, okay, so the guy's like a little bit loony but he's not wrong about where things were heading though.
Oh, but he was loony about the tech at the time.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can look at Google Stadia and say the same thing. Like, the concepts of what they wanted to do with Stadia were sound, but the technology is not there, and they didn't market it right, and they didn't, it's just not ready.
It's still not there.
Yeah.
Something I want to mention earlier. There's a slight segue with regard to the hardware and PC gaming. I think there's opportunity for either Sony or Microsoft or even Nintendo, if they so decide, where the moment they allow people to have full access natively to their library on PC, could really make a huge change. Because I think right now the console loyalty is because, hey, I bought all these games, I want to be able to play my games, especially with the PS4 and the Xbox One. We shift to digital, and no one wants to give it up, even though they're not going to play the game. Let's keep it real. Most people are not going back to play old game, but the idea is there. And that comfort of, hey, I spend thousands of dollars in games. I want to keep my games and carry it over. I think that is what would be really beneficial if they want people to be transitioning to PC. And Microsoft probably have the most flexibility to do that. But that's what I would like to see a future where your purchase is just a purchase and it's independent of the platform. Now, there's pie in the sky, obviously. But yeah, we really need to just buy a game, play it whether you log into an account or whatever you have, and just access it.
Agreed.
I agree. Haya?
I agree there too. I think overall people just like the convenience. Even if you made a PC with Windows and a decent video card and said here, I still think people are gonna just prefer a console. But
yeah, I do want to make one final point in all of this, and as much as on System Wars I can go pretty hard against the proprietary hardware being the bane of my existence, I do want to recognize that Nintendo is a company that actually does innovate in the hardware space. And for as much as I love talking about my Steam Deck, I do have to acknowledge that there is no such thing as a Steam Deck without the success of the Nintendo Switch. And that console with if Nintendo just played by the status quo of unified hardware, we probably wouldn't be gaming in that particular way right now. So there is a case. I don't want to sound like all eggs in one basket, because there is a case in why proprietary hardware can be innovative and also move the industry forward.
That's all Nintendo's fault.
They duct taped 2 Wiimotes to the fucking Wii U. That's what they did
Hey.
with that. So,
Dude, I remember the old days. Charizard and I would do the podcast. You know, we'd all do it, and then he and I would chat for hours after. I feel like about like via text or on Skype about how, like, man, wouldn't it be awesome if they made a handheld, you know, that you could get the whole library and third-party support. Like, we would talk about that like it was like never going to happen. And I remember him and I chatting when they finally announced it and was like, no way. Like Switch is a hardware revolution in terms of the way people game. I'm not saying that like there wasn't ever handhelds before it, but like they really brought the specialness to having AAA gaming on a handheld come to fruition with the Nintendo Switch. So
Yeah, that sounds more reasonable.
Yeah.
I could swallow that.
Nice.
But there's something that some people have forgotten. When the Switch was released, Nintendo was explicitly asked about the 3DS future, and they stated that they were going to be parallel to each other, that they're still going to support that type of handheld. And I know they were bullshitting then, and we know that they eventually just dumped the existence of a separate handheld and just made this the all-in-one, which for Nintendo makes so much financial sense, because you shouldn't be buying multiple games for different platforms which you all own. It's not a good business strategy, but they hit go with this, and props to them for that.
Yeah. Nintendo's going to be interesting in the next couple months too, because you know that we're going to start hearing more and more about what the Switch 2 looks like. So we'll look for that. Moving on, I thought we would get into what our personal game of the year was. And I know that it's traditionally you're supposed to pick a game that came out in 2023.
No, keep it this year, man. Keep it this year.
I got to be honest, man. I don't play a ton in the current year, so I mean, I can say Zelda, you know, but I didn't even think that Zelda was as good as Breath of the Wild, and it probably wasn't the game. It definitely wasn't the game I spent the most time with. Actually, I'll tell you what. We'll do game of the year. Let me go first, and I'll be quick. Is that cool? Because I know you, John. I know you played a ton of games this year. Heil, I don't know what you've been playing. Pedro, you seem like a guy that plays games fairly currently, but I'm not 100% sure what the saturation level is here. But my game of the year was No Man's Sky. There it is.
Okay.
I thought the updates were fantastic. The game was incredible. I put in well over 100 hours. It's exactly what I wanted the game to be back when it launched, and I think that it's fantastic. So that's my game of the year.
Sony. So.
Did you say
That's it.
Sony's just the game of the year?
No, he's saying Sony because Sony helped develop or funding for No Man's Sky.
They got better once they were not exclusive. Point to be made.
Very true. Just like Bungie. Oh.
Yeah, but Bungie sucks now.
How about who wants to go next? Game of the year. No?
I want other people to go first.
Okay.
I'm gonna. Oh my gosh, game of the year. You see, I don't like these titles because they're like, I enjoy games and I don't like say one game above them all. Nah, that's a hard one. I don't think I have any of those. I could give you some games that I enjoy. Well, actually, three. Yeah, 3 that I enjoyed.
Okay.
Resident Evil 4 remake, Cocoon, and recently I actually didn't expect to enjoy Hogwarts Legacy, despite the shitty start. It actually turned out to be a much better game than I anticipated. I haven't played Tears of the Kingdom because it looks too big and I can't be bothered.
And it sucks.
Baldur's Gate looks also too big and too long. Can't be bothered right now. Probably later
Yeah.
on.
Same. Yes. Baldur's Gate was definitely the runaway winner. I would think we can all agree this season, but I can't warm myself up to a game that I feel like is going to take me forever to get through. So, Kyle, how about you? What was your game of the year?
I mean, it came out in 2020 originally, but Ghost of Tsushima for me. I played the revamped one on the
Okay.
PS5. There were updates and they did that. And prior to that, I played Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I got lost in that for like, I don't know, 90 hours. I just couldn't stop. And then it started getting, I mean, I got all the territories and I was just got through the whole thing. And then Ghost of Tsushima almost took like cues from an Assassin's Creed game as far as if you look at the mechanics, as far as the upgrading and the weapons and the enemies have different skills. Nothing like Elden Ring, but I just really enjoyed it. I love the Japanese culture, and I thought they were really, really clever with the haikus, how the art direction that they did as far as the wind, and you would stop and you'd see like cherry blossom like drop from the trees, and the armor was just killer. The whole thing was cool. The music, the horse riding was good. I put like 80 to 90 in that, so I know I'm 3 years late.
Yeah.
That's mine for sure.
So you heard it here first. Then Heil 68 King Cow is unsatisfied with the PlayStation 5, and he compared one of PlayStation's great exclusive games to Assassin's Creed. You heard it here first, everyone.
It's true. It's true.
It's just, I mean, it's similar. I mean, what else? That's probably another topic for another non-podcast. But there's only so many game styles, right? I mean,
well, that's it,
so
man. That's
that. I mean, I don't know.
Unless they innovate, right, Kyle? Unless they make more games like Stray, games that make you feel fresh, or take different approaches, or actually start paying attention to the way we game.
Cocoon was pretty good.
Yeah, tell me about Cocoon, because I hear great things about it, but I haven't picked it up yet.
Forspoken too.
But you got to be into puzzle games. It's a puzzle game that thrives on being able to go into a world and also transport the world on your back, and then use that world to unlock other worlds, which you go inside. So it's kind of like a multi-layer system where you kind of inception of each other. It's really interesting.
Yeah, very cool. So it's more of a puzzler.
Yeah, and it's a short game. You can finish it in about 4 hours.
Nice, very cool. Have you played that, John? It won Indie Game of the Year, right, at the Video Game Awards. Yeah,
well deserved. That's one thing I could agree on. That game.
Yeah. Nice. Very cool. So, did we hear everybody's Game of the Year?
No, mine.
Oh, John, what's yours?
Cats the Musical from 2019. the butthole, the unedited butthole edition.
Oh, nice.
Yes. No, more seriously, I would put. God, there were so many good games this year. And it was a good game. It was a good year for horror too. In all seriousness, I would say Alan Wake 2 is probably my game of the year.
Nice.
Yes, Alan Wake 2 is freaking phenomenal. It's really good, and like they really let Remedy have free reign of like their creative direction of what they wanted to do with it.
That's on my to-do list.
I think that Spider-Man 2 was I think looking back in retrospect, Spider-Man 2 is kind of like it's a great, fantastic fucking game. It just falls short in the third act.
You hear that, Kaz?
Yeah. Spider-Man 2 falls short in the third act. Tears of the Kingdom is a great game, but it's built on the back of a giant, so therefore to me And Jeff, as you and I have discussed, it's just kind of like feels more like an expansion pack than a full blown sequel that feels fresh.
Yeah, I would say like all the aesthetics are very comfortable, put on the old slipper type. It's just like the continuation of Breath of the Wild, but more so.
It's 1.5.
It's just like I feel like I've got to be in the right mindset to want to put up with that much going on. Like you come up to. You want to go to do an objective, but you come up to a guy that's leaning on a sign and you got to prop the sign up. And that becomes a 15-minute long exercise in trying to, do this thing. And you realize like, man, I don't even remember what the hell I was just doing. And so like, I've got to be, I don't know about how you guys are, but I've got to be right in the mind to play those games. And I know immediately if I'm not in the mindset to play those games. But yeah, Zelda was... My son says that Zelda game is the best Zelda game that's ever been made. He said the story content in it is incredible. The all the little revelations and the gameplay. And he loved the puzzles and all the making cars.
I'm not going to ask for names. Which one, older or younger?
Older.
Tell him Uncle Animal's coming to slap the shit out of him.
Yeah. Oh, he loves when I tell him that.
I know where you live.
Stay where you are.
No, you'll see me out your window later tonight.
Yikes! That's terrifying.
Yeah, I would. I'm gonna slap the shit out of him.
So the best game, I want to tell you the very best game though, and I feel like I have to say this. The very best game I played this year, not barred by year, was Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance.
You fucking stupid idiot.
I
have been telling you to play that game for years.
I'm so in love. I've never been so in love with the gameplay. Man, Platinum Games made a goddamn masterpiece. I don't care about the story. The gameplay and cutting things in the fucking first person with the blade. Good Lord. All I want to do for the rest of my life is play that game.
Well, good for you, man.
Have you ever played it, Pedro?
Yes, I have it. I bought it because I was like, let me give this shit a shot. And like the story was,
it's ridiculous.
Too much. Sometimes it's hard for me to, because they're putting it in my face. It's like they open your mouth, and I have to deal with that in order to enjoy the gameplay. I skip. Don't force feed me. I'm good. So probably one of these days when I have the tolerance for that, I would say, hey, I could enjoy the gameplay, but yeah.
I think for me the satisfaction of it was as your skills grow as you play, as in all hack and slash type games, right? You're looking for that like that delicate balance of feeling like fluid in your moves and like you're not just sticking to one move set, but you're using everything at your disposal. The way the game advances, the way that you run into bosses, like it has a little bit of Dark Souls to it. It's got a little, with the way that the bosses are super difficult. And it really, I don't know, that game I fell in absolute love with. John, I'm assuming that's a 10 out of 10 for you. It's got Metal Gear on it.
Not just because of Metal Gear, but I love the fact that the whole point is that a U.S. senator is trying to steal children's brains.
Yes, dude. It's just Pedro's favorite part. Pedro's favorite part was that.
Just their brains to turn them into soldiers of war. Fucking ridiculous. Never in a game, at the end of the game, have I seen like a fucking 6'6" U.S. senator who looks like he just came out of the WWF from 1989 after he finished wrestling Yokozuna. Fucking come and fight you as a final boss. It's fucking beautiful.
I guess.
It's fucking beautiful.
It really is. You should definitely go. Are you a Souls? Do you like? I'm not comparing Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance to Dark Souls 1-to-1, but I'm asking in that vein. Do you, Pedro, like games that offer abundance of challenge?
Well, you see, that's a heavy-handed question.
That is a leading question. Do you like things that are hard?
Well, it depends on if I feel the difficulty is, is that reasonable or if it feels reasonable. Like my skill level is being challenged rather than um, cheap design to make it difficult. I don't know if that's making sense. Because
Mhm.
if you find yourself growing with the game as you're getting better, and say you initially sucked, but you got better at playing the game, not leveling up, just playing the game. And if you go back, you're like, wow, this is so much easier. Yeah, I appreciate those games. But a lot of games they have this they don't have really good design and difficulty as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
But if you say what you call it, Metal Gear Solid Vengeance, or whatever.
Rising Revengeance.
Yeah, if they do the combat as good as you described, it might be definitely worth giving a second shot.
Mm. Yeah, and I want to say too that the first time I put that game in was not recently when I played through the whole thing. I want to say it might have even been back on the 360 days, and I remember playing the first mission and being like, "This game's not for me," and so it was sat in a backlog for a while, and then I went back when I got my Steam Deck and played it, and I was like, "Oh my god, this game was made for me." So, anyways, we're gonna segue and wrap some things up. We thought this is John's neck of the woods, but he had this great idea that we would leave this podcast with a few hot takes. So, John, do we have about 5 minutes for hot takes?
Yeah, 5 minutes for hot takes.
And closing up shop. Maybe we can do it all in the same
10 minutes. We got 10 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So explain, John. You were big on the hot take.
Hot takes.
How do you want to do this?
Hot takes is a concept that I have to give to my buddy MT Zever over at VG Charts. We were given. I know I'm like a fucking broken record talking about my test here, but ever since U2 fucking disappeared into God knows where. I had thought about revitalizing a podcast on our own, and we were kicking around some ideas. And we thought about a podcast just called Hot Takes About Video Games, where we just give our hot takes on video games. So hot takes are essentially like, there's never been a good Sonic game, or Spoken is a good game. Bethesda has never made a good Fallout game. Like, what is your essentially balled up controversial opinion? Either new, old, relevant, whatever it may be. So yeah, just like kind of a way to generate like a more like shooting the shit about games discussion.
So who do you want to start with? Do you want to start with a hot take? Do you want to delegate? Kyle's been kind of quiet. I wouldn't mind.
Yeah, Kyle, what's your hot take, Kyle?
My take is AAA space is dead.
That's a boring hot take. I agree.
Oh well.
Wow.
So they've been saying that for months. That AAA devs are like shitty.
Let him explain. I want to hear his point.
Nobody wants to invest. I don't even know what it costs to develop a game. Let's say 10 million. That's probably low. Nobody wants to invest that game.
Kyle, it costs Sony $40 million. Insomniac $40 million just to make the Spider-Man remastered game.
Cost them $350 million with fucking advertising.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So I can't remember. We were talking about some game, Pedro. I can't remember. It was a AAA game released like, I don't know, 5-6 months ago, and it was already 80% off.
Oh, that would be what is the name? Ash Immortals of
Avian.
Immortals of Avium.
So it sounded like those people lost their asses. So no one's going to drop that much of money on trying to take a risk. So it's all going to be safe. It's going to be Call of Duty, Assassin's Creed, Far Cry. I don't know. I guess that's not a hot take, but that's what I feel. So that's why Stray was so fresh to me. So, and I hate to become an indie fucking gamer. Now we have to.
Indie games are the best.
Smoke Jeff, so I'm not sure.
Hemp? What are you from the 1940s?
Yeah, hi. Get the hemp going, man.
Jesus.
Listen, dude, you can smoke tons of hemp and play indie games. I don't, you know what, man? I got to be honest. I don't even know what you're afraid of. You love video games, and you just said you love Stray because it had diverse, new, fresh gameplay. That's what indie games have been doing, beating up on AAA games for the past 10 years because they're the games that take the risk.
So right now I'm playing Sea of Stars. I thought
I-
I'm gonna try that, and so
Yeah.
now I'm like hooked on that. So I stopped playing Halo to play Sea of Stars. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
That's not a hot take, but that's what I can come up with now. John, what do you got?
My hot take is 15 years ago, Forspoken would have been a game that launched like an epic franchise across the decades. Like, the problem is that Forspoken is a good B tier game, and people don't want B tier games anymore. Like, they're just like, oh, it's B tier, it sucks, fucking awful. Like, it would have been a franchise back like in 2006, 2007. It just reminds me it has that old quality that the first Uncharted had. It's like you're like, okay, this is cool, but it's not exactly great. But if they get another crack at it, it'd be an awesome franchise.
Okay. I played it. I didn't find it was as awful as people made it.
It's not as awful as people make it to be, right?
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
I didn't write. Somebody hijacked my account. I didn't write that in the chat thread. But Forspoken. So Pedro, I'm a little shocked to hear that you liked Forspoken. So tell us about that.
Well, because I played the game.
Yeah,
right.
I'm in the midst
There
of
it is.
playing the game, and
I think people hating on the game most likely haven't played the game. Just like Redfall. Redfall is mediocre, not horrible, just mediocre. And Forspoken is a weird game because they spent a lot of time and money making this world, but the world was empty, and the story kind of like castrated the game.
Yeah.
Because it didn't allow for the exploration of the world in a meaningful way, because there's nothing out there, but there's so much like design placed into the world, but nothing. The game feels good to play, but they shot themselves in the foot with their story. Their story actually handicapped the game, but it is it is a pretty good game for what it tried to be. A little too big for its own
britches.
Yeah.
I agree. It feels really good to play,
I will-
but like there's nothing. I agree with that. That's a really good way to put it. It's just like the world doesn't feel good enough. Like it feels they built this like amazing Metroidvania-esque world with like you're like, oh, okay, so I'm gonna go from point A to point B, do my thing, and then that's it. And then I'm gonna go to the next point A and point B and do. That's why I say it would have worked better 15 years ago.
Yeah, when people were wowed just by an open world.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I always root for new IP. The thing that got me with that game was not the dialogue stuff. It was when they first showed that original demo where she walked through, broken up castle looking area with these very generic conversations from NPCs, and then just was opened up into this world that looked entirely empty. And was it pretty? Yeah, it looked beautiful, but that stuff that's not going to make me play that video game. So, yeah, your point is understood. It's a game that was suited maybe for a different time, but in the modern age, how did Square Enix gets away with, something that's not up to par is a more difficult endeavor for them. They've got to your point about AAA games, they've got to hit,
Well, they made 2 games. They made Final Fantasy 15, and then they made Forspoken, and then they got shut down.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's it.
That's it.
So my hot take, I'll do mine. Am I the last one to go? Has
Gotta go.
Pedro done his yet?
No,
No.
I haven't done it.
Oh, okay. Do you want to go, Pedro, or do you want me to shoot mine out?
No, you should.
Okay. Naughty Dog is creatively bankrupt. They are no longer the studio that you remember. They are fixated. Their leadership and their upper end brass is fixated on a successful second season of television. Their teams are built around remaking games that already exist. They an utter failure in their multiplayer factions game, and you will not be seeing a classic Naughty Dog game ever again.
Agreed. I agree with that hot take.
Agreed.
Naughty Dog is just like
I agree too.
they're like yeah. Is that really a hot take? A lot of people actually feel that way. Naughty Dog just does like
their last game was a Game of the Year winner.
Naughty Dog. They make the game of the year, right? They come out with like a new, really fucking kick-ass game every 5 to 6 years. Then they fucking milk the fuck out of it, and then they disappear again.
Game costs $350 million. Wouldn't you milk the hell out of it too, or you just say, "Well, I'm just gonna do one. I'm gonna be creative and just do a new game each year to help my creativity and be in line with the stars, man. That's what I want." What the fuck?
What?
You get Kyle, turn up your mic a little
Yeah,
bit.
you gotta
Kyle.
turn up your mic. You sound low after sucking on those Sony balls.
When I said turn volume down, it was like you had background ambient sound getting picked up. That's what I meant. Your mic was fine.
What's that?
There you go. That's better.
And they're all gonna milk them because of how much games cost. That's why
They don't like fucking Christopher Nolan isn't going back out to redirect Oppenheimer because it didn't like make enough percentage back.
A movie is different than video games, isn't it?
Kinda ish.
Yes. It has different right. They can modernize it. They can make them better textures and all the fancy bells and whistles. I just think that listen, The Last of Us is one of the best video games I've ever played in my life. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I got it on PlayStation 3 and I upgraded when I got the PlayStation 4. I think it was like what, $15 or something
I got it for $10.
That was fine with me. Right. That's fine. I'm with it. I just am saying that so much time has passed. They've made 2 franchises, Uncharted and The Last of Us, since the PlayStation 3 era. And I with this factions game in 2 years or 3 years or whatever it is, some people say more than that, of wasted investment in that game, along with the fact that they are really riding these remasters because the television show is so hot. I just don't believe that these like things that they've got, these projects that they've got going on, are, first of all, anywhere near ready to talk about until 2027, 2028. And also, I don't think that the pedigree in the studio is I don't think it's the same studio anymore. I think too much time has passed.
Neil Druckmann is a fucking beautiful maniac, but I hate one of the things that I hate, and we do have to get wrapping up. I do want to hear your hot take, Pedro, is that like all these people who have made these really great games, and this is a hot take, they almost become like satirizations of themselves. Like they become the auteur. Well, like Sam Lake, who's been in like Variety and fucking New York Magazine and all this shit, he's just like, thanks everybody. Like I see him on social media, he's not like, yeah, I did this great game design and put this whole rock opera in Alan Wake 2 and did all this crazy shit. Like he's just like, thanks, I did it because I liked it and I thought it was cool. Like it's like he's not like this douchey auteur. Like, and I'm not going to sit here and say that like Neil Druckmann isn't like good at what he does. He's good at what he does, but like a lot of these guys have like the douchey auteur about them when they have this big hit, this creative hit, and then it slows them down and they fucking.
And I'm not trying to shit on Naughty Dog, because Naughty Dog has made some of the best, I'll say the most popular games in the past several generations. I just think that it's incredibly hard to stay on the tip of the needle for a long, long time. And I think that their most potent days of development are behind them. That's my hot take.
Take 2, but
all right,
anyway,
Pedro.
Let's hear Pedro's.
I think that Microsoft is going to dominate in the next 5 years, and I think most people are underestimating what their purchases were, and their overall goal is. If people are still looking at the traditional way in which consoles and gaming is handled, they have positioned themselves through multiple acquisitions to be a real powerhouse. It just, we don't know when it would start ticking in the way people would anticipate, because they have the capacity to release a new game every quarter based on their studio.
Not if
the
they're
amount of
releasing Starfields every quarter.
well, Starfield, it's Starfield. Bethesda games.
No, they
I'm
are. I agree.
shocked when people are surprised by a studio doing what they do all the time, and then they do the same thing, and they're like, "Oh my god, this is awful." But it was, gamers are full of shit, so it's just sometimes annoying to hear their complaints. And yeah, that's a whole different story. But yeah, I see, and I don't think people are taking on Microsoft in a meaningful way. They're doing all the silly fanboy crap, and I think they should be addressed in a more a long term view than short term. That's my take.
I will agree and disagree on that simultaneously, because earlier this year, one of the Xbox game CEOs was like, "We wouldn't make exclusives if Sony didn't do it." Meanwhile, they're buying up studios, so they can kiss my ass on that one. But you know what I'm saying.
But they're not going to make exclusives.
Hey,
that's the reality.
That's,
I mean,
that they
they
own the
own
studio.
the
They own the
studio.
studio, but they do own the studios to make the exclusives.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. They have positioned themselves in a way that is going to change the way that games are going to be obtained and played.
Yeah.
Wholeheartedly,
but it's still a problem. They're really, really large. I don't think people understand how big they are right now, and it's problematic. But they dogging Starfield isn't the solution. No, we have to at least be aware, because I've seen Microsoft in the 360. A lot of people love the 360, but they were an awful company for consumers, and they could potentially go back into that realm, because consumers like to be abused, apparently. Just their thing. Gamers love to be abused. And when they're abused, they're happier. I don't know why, but that's how it works. Think about any game company where it's just doing well. Abuse your customers, good results.
It's called battered wife syndrome. People are like, "Well, I'm just going to bend over and take it because I'm used to it."
Yeah, like, oh yeah, this feels great. Not to me. I like to enjoy myself, without having the abuse. Skip
Me?
that step.
And this is going to sound strange. I do have to go pick up my wife, but like after Netflix's last price hike, I was like, "Honey," "I'm unsubscribing from Netflix." I was like, I'm not.
Love it.
I'm like, "I'm not keeping Netflix so you can watch fucking Gilmore Girls again." Like,
Yeah.
and she's like, "What?" And I'm like, "Okay, I guess we're keeping Netflix." Yeah. I mean, yeah, Jeff, you know how that goes.
Happy wife, happy life.
You're like, honey, we're getting rid of Netflix. No, we're not.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I guess we're not.
Yeah, we had the conversation the other day. Actually, it was my son though. He's like, "No, I watched, what is it? The Outer
I'm
Banks. I
listening,
watched the
1
Outer Banks." Yeah.
1 second.
But no, that's cool, man.
Hold on.
Yeah. So plans for who's your friend?
Oh, this is the new cat, Harry. He's a blind
Harry?
cat. He's a blind cat.
Harry Bigglesworth.
No, his name was Harrison Ferd.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he lost both his eyes when he was a kitten.
Aw.
Really?
Yeah, infection.
Wow. No kidding.
Yeah.
So it just bumps into things, or
He does bump into things, but he's getting better at navigating the house.
what about like jumping up on like the couch? It'll feel the couch and then jump up on it.
So sometimes when he's really excited, he'll run around and he'll jump and he'll miss it.
Oh.
But usually he'll jump up to see if he could lay his paws down,
Yeah.
and then he'll pull himself up.
That reminds me of Randy Leahy's posting history. Just sprawled out, leaping at things and failing.
But,
What do you think about that, Hyle? He's your buddy. Hyle's not listening anymore. He doesn't want to respond.
But this one's on me for having to cut out so early. I apologize.
Yeah, no, that's okay, man. It's, you know what, I was shooting for an hour. I wouldn't even know how well we did with that, but in my mind's eye, I thought
We're at an hour and 10 minutes.
Have an hour show. Oh, perfect. So I think that we did a pretty good job then tonight.
Awesome.
So yeah, in closing up, I first want to say a hearty thank you to Pedro for being our guest today. I think that Pedro brought a lot of great conversation, and it was great to have someone represented from the System Wars community who has some intellectual thought to add into the conversation. So Pedro, thank you for being here today.
No problem.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thank
hopefully
you,
you'll come
Pedro.
back and yeah. And I want to say thank you to Animal Mother for reprising his role as Animal Mother for one more podcast. We've been talking on the side about, what is the podcast going forward. We do all like talking to each other. We do like engaging with people, and if we're going to bring it back, I don't know that we'll bring it back under a strictly System Wars banner of any kind, but we may still ask friends of the forum to be on with us every once in a while and just try to continue to stimulate good conversation. So thanks, John. And you got something to say? Yeah, okay. And I also want to say thank you to the man, the myth, the legendary, the co-founder of Pedal to the Metal, Mr. Heil68. Heil, what do you got for us?
I think we should keep doing it, but I think the System Wars Pedal to Metal, we should bury that one and go on to something new. You guys think of a new fancy fresh name, and we'll go forward. And we can talk about other shit besides games.
I think we're gonna. I think that's what I was gonna kind of say, and thank you for segueing into that, Hal. I think really briefly, what we were all texting about today was like, I think we're gonna bring in some fresh blood. I think we're gonna try to at least get in one a month. I think the thing is we're just going to try and make it a less System Wars focused podcast, more generalized games, shooting the shit, having fun, really arguing, and like making like one of those podcasts where they invite porn stars on. Like, hey, what's your favorite video game? What's your video game of 2023? I'm setting such unrealistic expectations.
John's ambition is just knows no bounds.
I was going to tell you, Jeff has an imp suit. We could talk about that next episode. So
oh my god,
he's got imp suit. So
imp or gimp?
Imp. Is it imp?
No, it's gimp.
What is it?
You saying imp suits?
I thought it was IMP. Oh, see, I don't even know that lifestyle. So
no, it's called Jesus. Like from Pulp Fiction. From Pulp Fiction, get the gimp.
There we go.
Jesus, hi. God. Yeah, no, I don't think so. Yeah.
Anyway,
no,
it's a long story.
No gimping for me. No gimping for me. Anyways, I am known around the System Wars parts as the Eroica. It's been great to chat with everybody today. Go. System Wars, keep it real, and it's time to say goodbye. So we will see you guys next time. See ya.
Peace out.